For more reaction on the appointment of Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula as Speaker of the National Assembly, we're now joined by Political Analyst from the University of Venda, Levy Ndou. Thanks very much indeed for joining us, and welcome to the program.
Good evening to you, Peter. Good evening to the viewers at home.
All right, so let's begin at the beginning. This appointment, this election, was received very differently by different parties. Why would there be such diverse views over the appointment of someone as National Assembly Speaker?
Well, I think this one has a background. Remember, Mapisa-Nqakula was the Minister of Defense, and she's actually moving towards this position after she was actually reshuffled. And indeed, the reshufflement was informed, many would say, by the inability of the security cluster to be able to perform its responsibilities. Now, obviously, as expected, she would then have to be nominated by her own party, the ANC, in order to be redeployed in this position. But there are, of course, people who are not happy with the nomination based on the fact that they feel that she has not performed well. Actually, she should not be given a position of responsibility. And on the other side, you have got some within the opposition and indeed within the ANC who are saying that she is surrounded by some controversies that relates to some issues of bribery or corruption. And based on those, you will then get people coming up with positive and negative views, which is quite expected because those who are for would actually provide reasons why they support, and those that are against would also provide reasons why they are actually against. But for me, what is important is that Mapisa-Nqakula should not actually take this in only in a negative light. Maybe it can also be a moment for her to actually show the people that she can actually do something better and actually raise the bar in terms of ensuring that parliamentary processes and activities are actually run in a proper manner.
There were 17 spoilt papers. Could some of those have come from the ANC?
Well, one might also think so, maybe based on the fact that maybe some within the ANC were not happy with the nomination. Remember, there has always been a talk that these decisions seem to have been imposed on the ANC caucus from Luthuli House or from the top six. I don't think that members of parliament cannot be able to cast a legitimate vote. I think it was deliberate, and for me, that should always be taken very, very seriously because it makes a statement that says we are actually not happy with the candidate that has actually been put forward or by the candidate who has been imposed on us.
So there is certainly some controversy, and it appears as if the National Assembly itself will be investigating the new Speaker over actions that she took whilst she was still the Defence Minister. And I guess the question might be for some is that why would the President insist on pushing forward somebody like this who would cause all of this controversy when there could have been easier choices? Perhaps even the Deputy Speaker, Letjisa, who's got lots of experience, who's already doing the job, he could just literally get promoted.
Well, I think also, Peter, in my view, we should not also overlook the party political dynamics within the ANC. As you know, Mapisa-Nqakula is a senior member of the ANC Women's League, and maybe there has been some form of pressure from the Women's League or for those who are in support of women being given senior positions within the government to say you cannot only just dump her, but you need also to give her some responsibilities. On the other side, you have got ANC factional battles at play, wherein the president would also be seen to be in support or trying to play soft with the other faction and ensuring that the party does not drift apart. And by doing so, the president will then have to ensure that there is a deployment of people from the different factions. But on the other hand, there is also a possibility that those who thought that Mapisa-Nqakula should not have been given a senior position might be saying, let her go to this position, let's give her this position, even though we have got reservations, she will actually be removed from that position in an embarrassing manner. So those are some of the things that one has to look at. But for me, what is also very important is that when you are under investigation for serious issues like this one, the game to play safe would be to say, maybe I should wait a little bit for the investigations to be concluded so that I don't get into a position of responsibility with a cloud hanging over my head. But another option would be that maybe she is very sure that she is innocent on all the allegations, hence she has decided to continue and take the position knowing that she's actually innocent. That will then require all of us to wait and see what will then happen in the next few months.
But she's already been sanctioned a few times. The one time is when she took ANC members on a state plane to Zimbabwe.
Well, indeed. Even though one would have done other things that could not be seen to be acceptable, you know, within the ANC, when one has done wrong, they would always find a way to still redeploy such individuals. Having people that are surrounded by controversy being given positions of responsibility is not something new within the ANC. Though, on the other hand, they talk about the step aside because they are charged in the court of law. Maybe those who are in support of her will say she has not been charged in any court of law, and in their view, they would say she remains innocent and she can still execute certain responsibilities. But at the end of the day, certain decisions are supposed to be left to individuals themselves in order for them to check whether they put their personal interest first or they put the interest of the organization or the interest of the society at large. And for me, responsible leaders would actually put the citizens first and then they come last.
All right, so let's talk about what might be consequences of this. So you've already sort of explained that there could be a political dynamic within the ANC that's playing out, but ultimately, actually, political parties exist for the voters. May they react differently and interpret this differently when they vote in the local government elections, for example?
Well, Peter, for me, local government elections have got their own dynamics. At local government, people vote based on the words and they vote for people that they actually know. For me, this one would not have an impact on the local government elections. But political parties or those that are opposed to Mapisa-Nqakula's election might develop an attitude against her, which might then have to make her life difficult as the Speaker of the National Assembly. That will also require her to develop skills to be able to maneuver and actually rise above party politics and work in the interest of everybody and try to make sure that the opposition is able to accept her and be able to work with her. At the same time, Mapisa-Nqakula will have to get a lot of guidance from the Deputy Speaker, who seems to be having sufficient experience in parliamentary activities because he has been deputizing for some time. And I think the knowledge that Deputy Speaker Sinosi has would actually come in handy for Mapisa-Nqakula, because she will really have to rely on him on a number of issues or dynamics happening in Parliament.
What do you make of the EFF's position not to participate in the vote? And they said that they weren't going to because they didn't want to rubber stamp President Ramaphosa's violation of the separation of powers, suggesting that we have the executive appointing someone in the legislature.
Well, the decision of the EFF might be informed by the political program of the EFF. And I think it's quite important that we all need to respect that. But also at the same time, politicians or people that are in parliament, they actually go there because they represent different political parties. So the ANC is equally correct to exercise its own decisions and take decisions based on the majority that they have to nominate anybody that they feel could actually occupy any position. For me, this is politics at play. The EFF has to play its role as an opposition to oppose what comes from the ruling party, and the ruling party as well would actually do what they could do based on the fact that they are a ruling party, they've got the majority, and then they'll actually take advantage of the numbers that they have in order to be able to put people or ensure that people occupy certain positions. But the statement of the EFF is something that cannot be taken lightly, because that is, for me, loaded in the sense that they are saying that they outrightly do not support the appointment of Mapisa-Nqakula. This is also confirmed by the statements coming from the Democratic Alliance and also the DA, having understood that there seem to be some party dynamics within the ANC, having to fill their own candidate, assuming that they might get bigger numbers from the ANC. And unfortunately, the votes that they thought might have come to them actually became spoiled. But that is also a loaded statement that says that we as the DA, we as the EFF are not happy with the nomination of Mapisa-Nqakula. That, for me, is a very clear statement that says they reject the nomination or the proposal that has been put forward by the ANC.
Levy Ndou, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very, very much indeed for your analysis. Thanks for your time.
You're always welcome.